Hey everybody, Stel here from the Shoot Style Sauna, here to bring you my review of WWE Clash of Champions 2020. This show coming about a little bit under a month after WWE Payback last month. Every match is a title match on this show, no non-title matches, so we're going to go through match by match, talk about what happened, give it a star rating, and at the very end of the review, we'll give the show an overall grade, the match of the night, and the MVP. As a reminder, there is no coverage of the pre-show in this review, only the main card. So, let's get started and get into the review. Opening the show, we have a fun ladder match to look into. It is the match to determine who is the rightful Intercontinental Champion, as it is the one that we see as the IC Champion in Jeff Hardy, defending the title against AJ Styles, the former champion, the man that Jeff beat to win the title, and the person who says he is the rightful champion because he never lost the belt, which he's technically right about. It is Sami Zayn, who is carrying around his own title in the build to this match. He's been making his comeback on SmackDown lately, and he's been making a big feud about this, about how these guys are frauds, I never lost the belt, blah blah blah. Really good stuff from Sami in the build to this match. And the match itself, oh man, this match was a car crash, but in most of the times in all the right ways. So looking at this match, I'm going to say right now, every man did their part in this match, and I'm going to give props to Jeff Hardy especially because, whew, there are some really gnarly looking bumps he took in this match. I'll name a couple of them. We see him in early stages of the match. He tries to go for, like, I think it's like more like a whisper in the wind type of thing. He goes for it, but as he's going for it, you see AJ sidestep him, and he just dives into an upside down ladder, which then clamps into him, and the ladder supports break, and oh, that was just one of the many painful bumps he took in this match. And we also see him for his offense. There was some really good explosive offense from all three guys in this match. I really enjoyed this moment where they're all on the outside, like on not the hard cam side, the other side, and we see Sami. He sees what happens with Jeff and AJ. AJ goes for an elbow on Jeff. Jeff moves. He runs off the steel steps to hit a poetry in motion, which was really creative. But then Sami sees that. He runs for and hits a haluva kick on the Jeff, which I thought was a great sequence there. Really fun stuff. And it's just more car crashing stuff. We see more ladder spots. There's another ugly spot with Jeff as he's trying to climb the ladder to get to the titles, obviously. But Sami catches him and he starts to tilt the ladder outside of the ring, and Jeff, commentary says it's like a snake. He's like climbing over the ladder. He's on the other side. He's like holding on the ladder like on his stomach, but Sami still dumps on the outside. Jeff lands in the apron, and oh my god, it's ugly. And Jeff's out of the match for a little bit, and I don't blame him because that was, ooh, I want to forget about that in the morning too. Jeff somehow gets back into the match, and he does pretty much a callback to WrestleMania 33. He sets up Sami onto this ladder bridge. He climbs the ladder, does the post, big swanton. Sami's to the ladder. He's gone for a little bit. It's really just more of a Jeff and AJ thing for a bit, and then the finish, and I really enjoyed the creativity of this finish. We see Sami go over to his coat on the announce table. He picks out two pairs of handcuffs. He then walks over to Jeff, who's like by the ramp at this point. He then cuffs Jeff's earlobe, very similar when Randy Orton put the screwdriver in Jeff's ear back in Hell in a Cell in 2018, and he attaches it to this short ladder nearby, and he goes in the ring to cuff AJ, but AJ cuffs he stops from cuffing him to a ladder, I think. But so then Sami cuffs him to AJ himself, so they kind of cuff together. It's kind of like what happened in War Games last year between Rhea and Shayna. It's that sort of thing all over again. And AJ can't climb the ladder because Sami is stuck to him. And as he slowly climbs the ladder, carrying Sami's dead weight, basically, it's a really funny visual. I'm going to say that right now. Jeff, like with the ladder basically on his head, gets back in the ring. He tries to get AJ, but as like AJ and Jeff are tangled together, Sami has the key to the handcuffs. He unlocks the handcuffs. He's free. AJ and Jeff kind of just fall down. They're out of the match at this point. And Sami, because of that, because of his genius, he wins the match. He grabs both the titles above the ring, and he is the rightful Intercontinental Champion. Whew. Like I said, wow, that was a car crash. Sorry, I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars out of 5. Really explosive stuff, really fun match, and I really like the ending, and I think the right person won. Where they're gonna go from here, maybe we'll see more of a proper rematch between Sami and Jeff. I generally don't know, but I think it's very exciting, and I'm excited to see what we see next on SmackDown. Following that match, after everything that happened in that ladder match, we have the Raw Women's Championship match between the defending champion Asuka taking on Zelina Vega. A very interesting development, because I personally thought this would be Asuka versus Mickie James on more pay-per-view scale, but they just did it on Raw with a really weird looking finish, and then Zelina just, I'm going to challenge you next, and then I want a match on Raw, and here we are now. So looking at this match, there isn't a lot to it. I mean, this was supposed to be on the kickoff originally, but the thing that I see in this match is that Zelina seems to have Asuka scouted at a point, and she works a lot on the arm. That's kind of like the thing we see the receiver gets some good moves in. She seems to have Asuka's number, and we see a lot of false finishes, some near falls, but eventually we see Zelina get Asuka like a kind of a unique pin, kind of like a ZSJ pin, but not quite. But Asuka escapes that, puts the Asuka lock on, and Zelina almost instantly taps out, so the match is already over, and that's the match. Asuka retains after like a decent showing from Zelina, but this match was fairly short. Like I said, supposed to be a pre-show match. We're not done there, as after the match, Asuka cuts a quick promo basically saying, Zelina wasn't ready for Asuka. She wants Zelina to show her respect. Zelina goes for a bow, but she kicks Asuka in the gut, and this feud is continuing, and all I gotta say is, meh. I'm gonna give the match 1.5 stars out of 5. It was just a very short match. There wasn't a ton to it, nor was I really invested in the story. I just hope that we get more of a proper feud between these two, and it looks like that's gonna be the case going forward. So, good for Zelina at least getting in the ring and getting some time in, but too short, and not really much is into this feud right now, but hopefully things change coming up. Up next, we have the U.S. Championship match between the champion Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews. This match being a continuation of the storyline between Apollo and friends taking on the Hurt Business. Cedric Alexander recently joined the Hurt Business, who was not at ringside with Bobby, Shelton, and MVP, which I found very interesting. But similar to the Raw Women's Title match, there isn't a ton to this match. It feels like an Apollo Crews highlight reel. Whenever Apollo has control, he gets all of the big moves, he gets the big shooting star press in, he gets all the power moves, and some good stuff, but what I felt was a bit deflating and kind of bad on Apollo's part. So whenever Lashley dominated, he only hit a couple big moves, and that did a lot, and especially towards the end, as we really just see Lashley hit a big Uranagi, he gets the Hurt Lock in, and Apollo just immediately taps out. It's kind of like Zelina in the last match, as I was talking about. So yeah, it's not really much of a match. Like, it's good on Apollo just to show that he can go in the ring, but he loses again. It was clean relatively for the most part. And yeah, the only thing I really liked about this match was that MVP and Apollo had that cool discussion at the beginning, and how MVP said, we're doing business, and do you feel the hurt? That sort of thing. I like that part, but it just wasn't much else. I'm only gonna give it 2 stars out of 5. Not a lot to the match. I hope this feud's over, because Lashley's definitively beaten Apollo twice now, but we'll see where it goes, and yeah, not much else to say. Up next at SummerSlam, it is the Street Profits defending the Raw Tag Team titles against Andrade and Angel Garza. Wait. Oh wait, right, this is Clash of Champions. That's better. Alright, at Clash of Champions, we have the Street Profits defending the Raw Tag Team titles against Andrade and Angel Garza without Zelina Vega, because there's the whole storyline of that the two dropped Zelina to really also focus on each other and their synergy. And hey, they're showing good synergy early on. We see them get some good, like they save each other from some moves from the Street Profits. We see them have some great double team offense going into the match. However, things do go a bit south, as we see Garza really show some momentum for the team. He has a great exchange with Montez Ford. There's a scary Spanish fly, but they get it at the very end. It's a very close call for a near fall. But as Garza's getting back towards his corner, he takes, I think, like a nasty fall, and he's motionless for a little bit. And the ref checks on him. He throws up the X very quickly, and it really throws him out. The match off the rails, and it's really unfortunate because Andrade then gets into the ring. Dawkins tags it from Ford, he hits a spine buster, and the match ends. This is just really unfortunate because I thought the match was going great. Some good action from both guys. Joe was playing up the synergy of both of the heels, and I was really enjoying it. And I genuinely did think because of that the heels were going to win because of the synergy and not having to worry about Zelina anymore, but because of the injury to Garza, the ref had to throw up the X. They had to call an audible for the Profits to retain for the sake of Garza's health. So because of the injury, I'm only gonna have to give this match 2.5 stars out of 5. If the injury never happened, it could have been 3 stars or better, but for Angel's health and for everything going forward, I don't blame him for calling an audible and having the Profits win in theory. But my thoughts go to Angel Garza. Hopefully he's okay, and I hope everyone here can rebound from here. As commentary mentioned, however, we're supposed to have a match between Bayley and Nikki Cross on this show. We're told on the kickoff show that Nikki was unable to compete as she wasn't medically cleared, but Bayley, still in gear, comes out to the ring and cuts a promo boasting about her championship reign, talks about herself, how she took out Sasha, that sort of thing, and then she talks about how she can do an open challenge to anybody. It could be anybody on the roster from either Raw, SmackDown, or NXT. She waits, she tries to get the referee to raise her hand because it takes too long, but out comes Asuka. Very interesting choice as an opponent here. She comes down to the ring, the bell rings, so we have a match here. Not a lot to the match. Bayley does work the injured arm from earlier in the night, which I did like there, but some back and forth. We go to the outside, they fight by the announce table, but Bayley gets a chair. Big DQ finish, and that's it. I understand why, and I'll talk more about that in the star rating, but as Bayley is about to go back to taking care of Asuka, Sasha Banks appears. She hits Bayley with a chair, and they stare each other down. They have a fight around the ring. They get inside the ring. There's a kendo stick involved. There's a chair, and as Sasha begins to get the advantage on Bayley, Bayley runs out of the ring. She takes her title and scurries off, and they end up a stare down between the two to hype their match for the next pay-per-view. So feud's coming, that's very good. However, for the segment itself, okay, I understand that there was a problem with the talent. Obviously, Nikki Cross was not medically clear because there could be an exposure to COVID, to my understanding. I could be totally wrong about that, but that did harm it. I'm sure there was a plan for Bayley to win, probably attack Nikki Cross after the bell, which would have prompted Sasha's return. I don't know, that's just a theory, but for the match, it wasn't really anything. I'll give it 2 stars out of 5, I guess. There really isn't much to it, but as like an overall segment from the promo to the post-match angle, I'd say it's closer to a B grade, so nothing bad, just the match, I understand they had to do something, but they did with what they could, but they got the storyline point across, which is good, and hopefully we'll see some more stuff come out of it on SmackDown in the coming weeks. In your semi-main event, it is the WWE Championship match between the champion Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton in an ambulance match. So yeah, this feud continuing off from SummerSlam, where we saw more of like a pure wrestling match between two. I thought was actually a very good match from that show, and there's a whole injury angle on both men with their jaws being targeted for both their finishers in the coming weeks, and here we are now. So this is another peculiar take on the stipulation. So the big thing here is that whenever Orton looks to have a kill shot on Drew, it starts like very early in the match, and he gets a DDT on Drew and he goes for the big punt. Someone grabs his leg. It's not Retribution, who I thought it was at first. It's the Big Show. Yep, he's here as he takes care of Orton. He puts it through the announce table. This allows Drew to fight back into the match. So they fight back up the ramp. We see go over to the ambulance. Drew gets a red chair. I'm sure he gets plus 2.5 to his health there. And they fight around there. Orton finds an opening after Drew tries to claymore his head in through the door. He just kicks the door off. It's actually a really cool visual, and actually it's really important here because Drew does sell his leg throughout the rest of the match, so I did enjoy that part of the match. They fight backstage. They go over to catering, and again, another person appears here, as this time as Orton gets an advantage. Christian shows up. He throws Orton into a table. That's pretty much all he does. He does hit him a couple more times. I understand Christian of his whole injury history. I understand he doesn't want to get too physical here. So again, Drew has an opening. They fight back to the ambulance. They go on the hood. Orton throws Drew into the windshield, which breaks. Whew, really gnarly looking bump there. Drew is starting to bleed on his back there. They then fight onto the roof. We see a really good replication of Scar killing Mufasa here as Orton steps on Drew's hands. He's hanging off like the roof of the car, and then he falls off to the floor like off camera. It's really well done, I think. I got a good laugh out of that. And as Orton turns around, big sweet chin music, as it is none other than Shawn Michaels. He's here wearing an Undisputed Era hat, which is a really nice callback to NXT there. Orton falls off the ambulance. He's next to Drew. Drew recovers. They fight back and forth a little bit. There's a really wonky looking RKO on the floor, which I thought was like but Drew eventually fights back. He hits the Claymore, but he opts to not put him in the ambulance just yet, and I was a little bit worried here, but no one really comes out. It's all good for Drew. He then sets up for Orton's own move, the punt. At least I think it was the punt. Then he shuts the doors, and Drew wins the match. So I thought it was as entertaining. Like I said, very interesting take. I think I saw a tweet on Twitter from Tom Gamble saying how it was like Randy Orton's Christmas Carol, because you have the ghost of his past in the Big Show, the ghost of Christmas present with Christian because of Edge and that feud going on, the ghost of Christmas future and Shawn Michaels. I don't know. It's just a funny parallel that I thought of there, but entertaining stuff, really physical stuff, a lot different to everything else in the show aside from the ladder match to this point, and I'm going to give it 3.5 stars out of 5. Not much like your wrestling match, but entertaining stuff. Definitely been the best thing since the ladder match, and hey, I think this is probably the end of the feud. I'm sure we'll figure out what Drew's going to go with next coming up, and yeah, good stuff, and let's move on to the main event. And now, your main event of the evening. A very well-built feud about family, being like the head of the table, and just I think something that was really well put together considering how well these two know each other throughout their entire lives. It is Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion, taking on Jey Uso. This match, is a lot different than everything else on the card, I will say, but it's all in the story of the match. These two are family, they know each other their entire lives, as I just said, and that's the central focus. It's a very slow-paced match. There are like some spots like Jay's like really moving really fast, get some hope spots in, but Roman, he's just, Roman's way bigger than Jey, and he kind of no-sells him at points because it's like it just doesn't really faze him. Jay's been a tag team guy, he has to prove himself, and even when Jey gets those hits in, Roman finds a way to get out of it. And even when Roman gets his big moves in, like a Superman punch, he hits a spear after countering a roll-up pin from Jey later in the match, he doesn't pin him. Instead, he looks down at Jey, and here's the big thing in the match. He wants Jey to call him the Tribal Chief, but Jey simply says no, he refuses, and Roman's not happy about this at all. And it simply leads to a very real feeling moment. It gets really kind of tough to watch at points as Roman mounts him like an MMA fighter and just rains down punches on him. Just keeps punching him. He keeps battering him. And there's more conversation between the two. Paul Heyman tries to get involved. He tries to say it for Jey, but Roman looks at him and goes, no, I want him to say it, not you. And he just continues the punishment. He stands over Jey. He keeps demanding him to say it. The referee tries to stop the match, but no. Roman tells referee to back up before he knocks him the next week and leaves him without a job. It's, like I said, it's feeling really real, and it gets really tense at points. And as it gets worse and worse for Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso runs down. Yes, I thought he wouldn't be here because of his injury, but wow. And he has a white towel in his hands. He talks to Jey about how he needs to stop, but Jey just keeps refusing. He does not want to quit, and it just gets uglier and uglier. Another spear, more punches to Jey Uso, and he's just motionless. He can't do anything. And as Roman just keeps those punches coming, and he's just battering Jey Uso, Jimmy finally caves in. He throws in the towel, and that's the match. And we're not done there. As Jimmy runs into the ring, he consoles his beaten brother as the show goes off of the air with Paul Heyman bringing in the lei that Jey Uso came out with, putting around his neck, and Reigns just watches over both Usos in the ring, and as Jimmy just stares down Reigns with so much approval of what's gone on. And yeah, that's how we end the show. Wow. Like, this wasn't like your most technical masterpiece match ever, but this is one of the best storytelling matches I've seen in a while. Like, the story in this match was so well done, and for that reason alone, I'm going to give it 4.5 stars out of 5, because it's mostly because of the story between these two, and it was so well done, and it's why I really enjoyed this match. The stuff between Reigns and Usos alone just sold me alone. The banter, and that was the thing about this match. Throughout this match, you can hear just Roman and Jey just talking to each other. All the dialogue. I didn't really have it throughout the night because, that was just the feel of the match and how slow it was compared to everything else on the card. And yeah, it was just so well done. The finish was so interesting and unique compared to anything else that we usually see on WWE shows. And yeah, I hope everybody else enjoyed it too. And for that reason, that's why it gets 4.5 stars from me. My final grade for WWE Clash of Champions 2020 is going to be a B-. This show was really a show of 3 matches, and that being the opening ladder match and the main 2 world title matches. Everything in the mid-card really didn't have much substance to me. Like, there were okay matches on their own, but like on a pay-per-view, I just didn't think they really sat well with everything else on the card. Some forgettable stuff, some okay stuff, such as the Sasha and Bayley developments, that was good stuff. But other than that, not really much that stuck out to me, but everything else in the show, nothing bad. It's just, the mid-card to me just didn't have much to it. That's all. So my match of the night, that's gonna go to, I had a little bit of discussion and thought with myself. I'm gonna give it to the 3-way ladder match that opened the show. Again, as I said earlier, very creative, very chaotic, and I think the right person won. However, my MVP of the show comes from a different match, and that MVP is the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns. I didn't think I would be saying this back in 2015, but man, we've come a long way, haven't we? But with all that aside, that is my review for WWE Clash of Champions 2020. Hope you all enjoyed the show on your ends, and from now on, be sure to stay tuned for more Shoot Style Sauna content coming up on the channel. We are doing a mock mock draft for the upcoming WWE draft that was announced on this show, alongside coverage for NXT TakeOver 31 and all the other pay-per-views coming up in October and beyond. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, enable notifications if you really want, and be sure to follow the channel and follow me on Twitter at Stel Shoots. No underscores, just those two words together. All you need to know. So, until next time, I'm Stel from the Shoot Style Sauna, and we'll see you next time.